So myopic was the Foreign Secretary. She talked about the peace process in Palestine, refused to condemn the theft, as the member for Manchester Gorton put it. He used the words of $900 million stolen from the Palestinian Authority. The member for Liverpool Wavertree advanced the extraordinary proposition without a hint of irony that we're fighting for democracy in Iraq whilst we can steal the money of the Palestinian administration in the occupied territories because the people voted for a government that Allmert, Bush and Blair didn't like. So myopic was the Foreign Secretary's view that she prayed in aid an opinion poll from Basra which told us that the people had every confidence in the police. That's the same police we had to send the British government in to blow up a police station and kill umpteen Iraqi policemen because we said they were about to massacre the prisoners in their jails. She prayed in aid the Iraqi government, a virtual government, as saying even the Iraqi government, more importantly the Iraqi government, do not consider that they have a civil war. Of course they don't, because there is no Iraqi government. As the member for Manchester Gorton put it, we've installed a gang of warlords in power in Baghdad, the heads of competing militias, some of them at war with our own soldiers in the south of Iraq. It's not a government, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's Martin Scorsese's gangs of New York that we've put in charge in Baghdad. And that's not my concept, that's the member for Manchester Gorton's concept. So myopic. She had her finger out and wagging at Iran, warning Iran of what it must do or must not do in terms of nuclear weapons, when she's the Foreign Secretary of a government about to spend £75 billion on our own nuclear weapons, a government that declares itself the best friend of Israel, which has hundreds of nuclear weapons and refuses to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which says nothing about Pakistan, a military dictatorship, acquiring nuclear weapons. It would make you laugh if it didn't make you cry. But most serious of all was the extent to which she sought to lull us to sleepwalk into a coming conflict with Iran, invited by one of our colleagues to describe, as the former Foreign Secretary had, an attack on Iran as inconceivable. She refused, preferring instead the formulation that no one is contemplating it. But they are contemplating it. Israel has a war plan carefully worked out to do it. American generals, as we know from the journalism of Seymour Hersh, the greatest of all American journalists who brought us the stories from Vietnam, have to the nth degree worked out an attack upon Iran. She says that we stand by our soldiers. We stand by them so much. We pay them so little. We had to give them a Christmas bonus to make up their wages. Their families are claiming means-tested benefits. Their families are living in houses you wouldn't put a dangerous dog in. We send them ill-clad, ill-equipped, ill-armed, without armour, on a pack of lies into war after war after war. But let me invite the House to contemplate this and see if I'm as right about this as I was about Iraq 4 years ago. If a finger is raised against Iran by Israel or the United States, the first people to pay the price will be the 7,000 young men and women of the British Armed Forces that we have stationed in the south of Iraq, where Iran, thanks to us, is now top dog. You want to know what that will look like? Think about the film Zulu, but without the happy ending. That's how irresponsible our government is. They're part of an axis which is contemplating a war against a country we have made powerful, in a place where we have our soldiers standing in a thin red line in the sand. Madam Deputy Speaker, for the moment, the trial of Tony Blair merely takes place on Channel 4 television. The day will come, and it's coming soon, when a real trial of Tony Blair will take place in a real court.
No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. This administration intends to be candid about its errors, for as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily